Hello, and welcome back to COCO Gossip, your number one source for the stories that simmer just beneath the surface of reality television. We are the ones who watch, we are the ones who listen, and we are the ones who connect the dots that others might miss. Today, we are delving into a story that has been hiding in plain sight for years, a story that reframes everything we thought we knew about the Brown family's finances and, in particular, the ventures of Kody and his favored wife, Robyn. We all remember My Sister Wife's Closet, don't we? The online jewelry and antique business that was supposed to be the great unifier for the Brown women, a testament to their family's bond and entrepreneurial spirit. It was presented to us, the loyal viewers of Sister Wives, as a passion project, a whimsical dream of Robyn's to curate and sell unique treasures. We saw the episodes dedicated to its launch, the family meetings, and the supposed excitement. And then, just as quickly as it appeared, it seemed to fizzle out, another casualty in the long list of Kody Brown's ambitious but ultimately doomed business ideas. The narrative we were sold was one of failure, a quirky hobby that simply couldn't find its footing in a competitive market. But what if I told you that narrative was a carefully constructed facade? What if the closure of their brick-and-mortar antique store wasn't a sign of failure but a calculated move to cover their tracks? Today, we are not just gossiping, we are investigating. We are peeling back the layers of what insider reports and exclusive theories suggest is a sophisticated financial scheme, a classic case of alleged money laundering designed to conceal a massive, undeclared income stream. The figure at the center of this financial storm? A staggering $400,000. This is a story that goes far beyond the family drama we've become accustomed to. This is a story of alleged white-collar crime, of forensic accounting, and of a truth so explosive it could not only redefine the Brown family's history, but also have very real legal consequences for Kody and Robyn. We are going to examine the evidence piece by piece, from official business tax filings to expert analysis, and even a bombshell confirmation from a former family employee. So, buckle up, because we are about to embark on a journey into the dark financial underbelly of Sister Wives. We are going to expose how a charming little antique store in the heart of their community may have been nothing more than a front, a shell corporation designed to wash dirty money clean. And in doing so, we might just uncover the ultimate betrayal, not just to the viewers, but to the other wives who were allegedly kept in the dark about a secret fortune. To understand the depth of this alleged scheme, we first need to revisit the public face of My Sister Wife's Closet. It was launched with such fanfare, wasn't it? Robyn, with her artistic sensibilities, was to be the creative force, the curator of all things beautiful and unique. Kody, ever the salesman, was to be the face of the brand, the charismatic leader steering the ship. The other wives, we were told, were also involved, each lending their unique talents to the venture. It was a beautiful story, a story of family unity and shared dreams, but almost from the beginning, there were cracks in the facade. Viewers with a keen eye for business noted the high price points of their jewelry and the seemingly random collection of antiques. There were questions about their business model, their target audience, and their overall strategy. And then there was the physical store. For a business that was supposedly a passion project, it had a strangely ethereal presence. Neighboring business owners have since come forward in online forums and local news snippets, which we've collated, to say the store was almost always empty. There was virtually no foot traffic. They would see Kody and Robyn enter and leave, but rarely, if ever, a customer. This is our first red flag. A retail business, especially a niche one like an antique store, relies on customers. It needs a steady stream of people coming in, browsing, and, most importantly, buying. Without that, it cannot survive. And yet, My Sister Wife's Closet lingered. It didn't fold immediately, as one would expect a failing business to do. It continued to exist, a ghost of a store on a quiet street. Now, let's turn to the hard evidence, the kind of evidence that doesn't lie, the business's official tax filings. Our investigation, through sources who have access to these public records, has uncovered a series of documents that paint a very different picture from the one we were shown on television. On paper, the antique store wasn't a failure. In fact, it was reporting a profit. Not a large profit, mind you, just a modest, consistent profit year after year. This is where things get truly suspicious. How can a business with no customers be profitable? The answer, according to the tax filings, lies in their incredibly low cost of goods sold. For those of you who aren't familiar with accounting terms, the cost of goods sold is, quite simply, the cost of acquiring the products that a business sells. For an antique store, this would be the price they paid for the antiques they had in their inventory. The filings for my sister wife's closet show a cost of goods sold that is so low it's almost laughable. It suggests that they were acquiring their antiques for pennies on the dollar, a feat that would be nearly impossible in the competitive world of antique dealing. It's a glaring anomaly, a mathematical impossibility that screams for a closer look. To help us understand the significance of these findings, we consulted with a forensic accountant. We'll call him Mr. X to protect his professional identity, but I can assure you he has years of experience in uncovering financial fraud for major corporations and even law enforcement agencies. We presented him with the tax filings and the anecdotal evidence from neighboring businesses. His analysis was immediate and chilling. Mr. X said, "What you have here is a textbook example of a cash-based money laundering operation. It's a classic pass-through or shell company. The business itself doesn't need to be profitable in the traditional sense. Its purpose is to legitimize illicit income. You have a business with very little to no actual sales, yet it's reporting profits. This is achieved by manipulating the cost of goods sold and inflating the daily sales with undeclared cash." So, let's break down what Mr. X is saying. The theory is that Kody and Robyn were taking cash from other sources that were not being declared to the IRS, and depositing that cash into the business's bank account as daily sales. This cash, which was dirty in the sense that it was untaxed, would then become clean or laundered because it was now part of the legitimate revenue of the business. The business would then pay taxes on the small fabricated profit, and the rest of the money would be theirs to spend free and clear. But where could this undeclared cash be coming from? The show, Sister Wives, provided the family with a substantial income from TLC. However, that income is on the books. It's taxed, it's legitimate. We're talking about cash transactions, money that is exchanged hand to hand, with no paper trail. This is where we have to look beyond the show itself and into the world of reality television celebrities. It's no secret that the stars of these shows often supplement their network income with other ventures. There are paid appearances, meet and greets with fans, merchandise sales at live events, and sponsored social media posts. While some of this income is undoubtedly declared, the world of cash payments for personal appearances is notoriously murky. And now for the bombshell that ties this all together. Our investigation has uncovered a source, a former family employee who has requested to remain anonymous for their own safety and to avoid legal repercussions. This individual, let's call them Alex, worked closely with the Brown family during the years the antique store was in operation. Alex has confirmed that Kody would frequently return from out-of-town trips that were often described as fan meet and greets, but were never filmed or officially acknowledged by the show's production with large amounts of cash. Alex said, "He'd come back from these trips and he'd have a bag with him. Sometimes it was a briefcase, sometimes just a duffel bag, and it would be full of cash. We're talking thousands of dollars at a time. He was always very secretive about it. He'd say it was for family expenses or investments. But then, late at night, long after the other wives were asleep, he and Robyn would go down to the store. I saw them. He would make large cash deposits into the store's safe. It always felt off. It wasn't like he was depositing the day's earnings. It was something else." This testimony from Alex is the missing piece of the puzzle. It provides a direct link between a source of undeclared cash and the antique store, the late-night cash deposits, the secrecy, the large sums of money. It all points to a deliberate effort to conceal the true origin of these funds. And when we combine Alex's testimony with the forensic accountant's analysis of the tax filings, a clear and disturbing picture begins to emerge. The antique store, with its empty aisles and dusty shelves, was not a failed dream. It was, according to these exclusive theories and insider reports, a highly effective washing machine for dirty money. The total amount laundered is estimated by Mr. X to be in the range of $400,000. This is a staggering sum of money that was allegedly hidden not only from the IRS but also from the other wives. This wasn't just Kody and Robyn's little side hustle. It was a secret enterprise that, if true, fundamentally changed the power dynamics and the financial narrative of the entire Brown family. Now let's consider the timing of the store's abrupt closure. It wasn't a gradual decline, a slow and painful death that we often see with struggling businesses. It was sudden. One day it was there, and the next, it was gone. The doors were locked, the windows were papered over, and the online presence vanished. Why the sudden exit? Our investigation has uncovered a crucial piece of legislation that was enacted around the same time. The laws regarding the reporting of cash transactions were becoming more stringent. The government was cracking down on businesses that were being used for money laundering. The threshold for reporting large cash transactions was lowered, and the penalties for noncompliance were increased. According to our forensic accountant, Mr. X, this timing is highly suspicious. Mr. X said, "Criminals, especially white-collar criminals, are not stupid. They are very aware of changes in the legal and financial landscape. When new laws are enacted that make their schemes more difficult or more risky, they adapt. The abrupt closure of a business that fits the profile of a money laundering operation, right around the time that new anti-money laundering laws are coming into effect, is a huge red flag. It suggests that the operators of the scheme felt that the risk of getting caught had become too high, and they decided to cut their losses and shut it down. So the very act of closing the store, which was presented to the public as a business failure, may have actually been a strategic retreat, a way to avoid the increased scrutiny of the new laws. It was a way to tie up the loose ends of their alleged operation and walk away before the authorities started asking questions. And for a long time, it seems to have worked. The story of the failed antique store was accepted at face value. It became just another chapter in the chaotic history of the Brown family. But now, with this new information, with these exclusive theories and insider reports, that chapter is being rewritten. The implications of this are enormous. For Kody and Robyn, it exposes them to a potential IRS investigation. Money laundering is a serious federal crime with severe penalties, including hefty fines and prison time. The evidence, while circumstantial, is compelling. The combination of the suspicious tax filings, the expert analysis, the insider testimony, and the suspicious timing of the closure creates a powerful case that something illegal was taking place. But the real reckoning, the real win for the ex-wives, lies in the discovery of this hidden income stream. For years, Christine, Janelle, and Meri struggled financially. We saw their tearful confessions about their financial woes, their battles to make ends meet, their sacrifices for the sake of the family. All the while, if these allegations are true, Kody and Robyn were sitting on a secret pile of cash, a fortune that was never shared, never acknowledged. This discovery provides the ex-wives with a potential claim to a share of those laundered funds. In a divorce, all marital assets are supposed to be divided. But what happens when one party has been hiding assets? This new information could be grounds for them to reopen their financial settlements, to demand their fair share of the money that was allegedly funneled through the antique store. This isn't just about the money, though. It's about betrayal. It's about the years of deception, the years of watching Kody and Robyn live a more comfortable lifestyle while they struggled. It's about the realization that the family's financial problems may not have been as severe as they were led to believe. Let's take a step back and look at the bigger picture. The narrative of sister wives has always been one of a family struggling to make their unique lifestyle work. They have faced financial hardship, public scrutiny, and internal conflict. But through it all, they have presented themselves as a united front, a family that shares everything, for better or for worse. This alleged money laundering scheme shatters that image. It suggests a deep and calculated deception, a secret alliance between Kody and Robyn that operated at the expense of the other wives. It reframes their relationship not as one of love and partnership, but as a business arrangement, a criminal enterprise in which they were the sole beneficiaries. Think about the arguments we've seen on the show over the years, the fights about money, the accusations of favoritism. How many of those conflicts were fueled by this hidden financial reality? How many of the other wives' struggles could have been alleviated if they had known about this secret income? The story of the antique store is no longer a quirky anecdote. It's a potential crime scene, and as we continue to dig deeper, we are finding more and more evidence to support this explosive theory. This is the kind of story that the mainstream media is often too afraid to touch, the kind of story that requires a deep dive into the shadows, a willingness to connect the dots that others have ignored. And that is what we do here at COCO Gossip. We are not afraid to ask the tough questions, to challenge the official narrative, to bring you the stories that are bubbling just beneath the surface. The story of Kody and Robyn's antique store is far from over. In fact, it's just beginning. And as we continue our investigation, we promise to bring you every new development, every new piece of evidence, every new twist in this shocking tale of greed, deception, and alleged criminality. This is a story that has the power to change everything we thought we knew about the Brown family. It's a story that could have far-reaching consequences, not just for Kody and Robyn, but for the entire Sister Wives franchise. And it's a story that you will only find here on COCO Gossip. So stay tuned, because the second half of our investigation is even more explosive. We will delve into the specific transactions, the shell companies, and the network of individuals who may have been involved in this alleged scheme. The rabbit hole goes much deeper than you can possibly imagine. We laid out the explosive premise that My Sister Wife's Closet, the quaint antique store run by Kody and Robyn Brown, was not the failed passion project we were led to believe. Instead, insider reports and a deep dive into their financial records suggest it was a sophisticated front for a money laundering operation, allegedly used to wash over $400,000 in undeclared off-the-books income. We revealed how the business's tax filings showed impossibly low costs of goods sold and consistent, modest profits, despite having virtually no customers. We brought you the expert analysis of a forensic accountant who called it a textbook example of a cash-based money laundering operation. And most damningly, we shared the exclusive testimony of a former family employee who witnessed Kody Brown making large late-night cash deposits at the store after returning from mysterious fan meet and greets. Now, in the second half of our report, we are going deeper. We are going to follow the money. We will dissect the very mechanics of how this alleged scheme could have operated, explore where that staggering $400,000 might have gone, and examine the profound and devastating betrayal this represents for the ex-wives, Christine, Janelle, and Meri. This is not just a story of financial mismanagement, it's a story of calculated deception and the potential legal storm that is now brewing on the horizon for Kody and Robyn Brown. The reckoning is here. To truly grasp the genius and the alleged criminality of this operation, we need to understand the nuts and bolts of how a business like an antique store can be used to launder money. It's a process of turning dirty money, cash with no legitimate origin, into clean money that appears to be legitimate business revenue. Our forensic accounting expert, Mr. X, explained the two-pronged approach that the evidence suggests was used here. The first prong is minimizing expenses on paper. The second is inflating revenue. Let's start with the expenses. As we mentioned, the tax filings for My Sister Wife's Closet reported a cost of goods sold that was suspiciously low. How could they achieve this? Well, the world of antiques and collectibles is perfect for this kind of manipulation. Unlike a store selling new televisions with fixed wholesale prices, the value of antiques is subjective and the sources are often informal. Our investigation suggests a likely scenario. Kody and Robyn would acquire inventory for cash from sources with no paper trail. Think flea markets, garage sales, and small-time estate clearances where receipts are rarely issued. They could buy a box of old porcelain dolls for $50 cash. However, on their internal books, they could create a fake invoice, a phantom receipt, claiming they purchased that same box from a fictitious supplier for a mere $5. By doing this repeatedly, they create an official record that shows their acquisition costs are next to nothing. This artificially inflates their potential profit margin on paper, which is crucial for the next step. The second and more important prong is inflating the revenue. This is where the cash from Kody's alleged meet and greets comes in. Let's imagine Kody returns from a weekend trip with $10,000 in cash. This is dirty money, it hasn't been declared, and if he were to simply deposit it into his personal bank account, the bank would be legally required to file a suspicious activity report with the Treasury Department. But by owning a cash-based business like a quiet antique store, he creates a plausible reason to have large amounts of cash, so that $10,000 is taken to the store. The next day, the business's books show a remarkably successful day of sales. Perhaps the records claim they sold a rare Victorian locket for $2,000, a collection of vintage postcards for $500, and several other high-ticket items, all paid for in cash. In reality, the store was empty. No customers came in, and no such sales ever occurred. The $10,000 in dirty cash is then deposited into the business's bank account as the day's legitimate earnings. Once that money is in the business account, it's effectively washed. It is now clean. The business will pay income tax on the small fabricated profit it declares, revenue minus the artificially low cost of goods sold, which gives the entire operation a veneer of legitimacy. The remaining bulk of the cash, now cleaned, can be paid out as salaries to Kody and Robyn, or used for business expenses or transferred to other accounts. But our investigation suggests the scheme may have been even more sophisticated. Financial experts in white-collar crime often look for a technique called layering, where money is moved through multiple entities to further obscure its origin. And this brings us to another exclusive theory based on our deep dive into public business records. We've found evidence of another LLC registered by Kody and Robyn during the same period. Let's call it K&R Family Ventures LLC for the purpose of this report. This company had no public-facing business, no products, no services. Its purpose was opaque. A common layering tactic would be for My Sister Wife's Closet to pay this shell company, K&R Family Ventures, a regular consulting fee or marketing fee. For example, the antique store could pay the shell company $5,000 a month for brand management services. This is a completely internal transaction. Money moves from the antique store's account to the shell company's account. This creates another layer of separation from the original cash deposits and makes the money trail even harder for auditors to follow. From the shell company, the money could then be used for personal expenses, appearing as legitimate business payments. This is the alleged machinery of the operation. It is simple in its concept but requires meticulous and deceptive bookkeeping to maintain. It is a house of cards, and it appears to have stood for years, quietly funneling a fortune into the pockets of Kody and Robyn. So, the big question is, where did the $400,000 go? You don't launder that kind of money just to let it sit in a bank account. It's used, it's spent, and to find the answer, we simply have to watch the show. Let's rewind to the period when the antique store was operational. This was a time when the family was, by all public accounts, under immense financial strain. They had just made the costly move to Flagstaff, a decision that left them with multiple mortgages, rental payments, and a huge, undeveloped piece of land at Coyote Pass. We saw Janelle, the family's supposed bookkeeper, lamenting their dire financial situation. We saw Christine, desperate for a home of her own, being told there was simply no money. We saw Meri trying to contribute through her own businesses. The narrative was one of shared sacrifice. And yet, during this same period of supposed austerity, we see a noticeable shift in Kody and particularly Robyn's lifestyle. While the other wives were downsizing and cutting back, Robyn was making significant purchases. There were reports and on-screen evidence of designer handbags, expensive clothing, and frequent redecorating of her large rental home with high-end furniture. These were not the expenditures of a family on the brink of financial collapse. They were the expenditures of people with a significant, unaccounted-for source of disposable income. But the small luxuries pale in comparison to the grand prize. The ultimate destination for a large chunk of this allegedly laundered money, our investigation strongly suggests, was the down payment on Robyn's massive $1 million home in Flagstaff. When Kody and Robyn purchased this property, it raised eyebrows among viewers. How could a family that was struggling to pay its bills suddenly afford such a lavish home for just one of the 4 wives? The official explanation was a convoluted story about loans and refinancing. But a large cash down payment made with clean, laundered money provides a much simpler and more plausible explanation. By funneling the cash through the antique store and their shell LLC, they could have accumulated a substantial sum that could be used for the down payment without raising the red flags that a direct cash purchase would have. This home, which became a major point of contention and a symbol of the family's inequality, may have been quite literally built on a foundation of lies and financial deception. It wasn't just Robyn's lifestyle that saw an upgrade. Kody, too, was enjoying the fruits of this hidden income stream. There was the purchase of a new sports car, a luxury that seemed utterly tone-deaf given the family's supposed financial state. There were expensive watches, trips, and other personal indulgences that stood in stark contrast to the sacrifices being made by his other wives. And this is where the story turns from one of financial crime to one of profound human betrayal. Let's consider the positions of the other wives during this time. Janelle has always been presented as the family's financial guru, the pragmatic accountant. If these allegations are true, she was the victim of a masterful deception. She was likely provided with incomplete or entirely fabricated financial records for Kody and Robyn's ventures. She was trying to balance a family budget with a massive $400,000 black hole that she knew nothing about. Every time she had to tell one of the other wives no, every time she had to move the family's financial chess pieces around to stave off disaster, she was operating with a fraudulent set of information. The stress and the burden she carried were based on a lie. Then there is Christine. We all witnessed her heartbreaking journey, her growing disillusionment, and her ultimate decision to leave the family. A significant part of her struggle was financial. She felt devalued, unheard, and financially insecure. Her dream was to have a home in Utah to be closer to her adult children, but she was consistently told that it was financially impossible. Imagine for a moment how different her choices might have been if she had known that there was a secret stash of $400,000. The money that could have provided her with the security and independence she craved was allegedly being siphoned off to fund Robyn's mansion and Kody's whims. Her emotional decision to leave the family was inextricably linked to a financial reality that was deliberately hidden from her. This wasn't just a marriage that failed, it was a partnership that was, according to these reports, criminally undermined. And what of Meri? For years, she has been the outsider, emotionally distant from Kody, but still financially entangled with the family. Her successful LuLaRoe business was a significant source of legitimate income for the Brown family. She was contributing, pulling her weight, and helping to keep the family afloat. How utterly devastating it must be to realize that while she was working tirelessly, Kody and Robyn were allegedly running a parallel secret economy. She was funding the legitimate side of the family's finances while they were allegedly building a personal fortune on the side, a fortune she had no access to and no knowledge of. It is the ultimate act of disrespect, reducing her from a partner to a mere financial instrument. This alleged scheme recontextualizes every financial argument, every tearful confession, every moment of struggle we have ever witnessed on Sister Wives. It suggests that the family's financial problems were not a shared burden, but a reality imposed on 3 of the wives by the secret actions of the other 2. The cover-up, in retrospect, was as calculated as the alleged crime itself. When the laws on cash transaction reporting tightened, the store was shut down abruptly. But they didn't just close the doors, they scrubbed its existence. The My Sister Wife's Closet website was taken down. The social media accounts were deleted. The entire digital footprint of the business was systematically erased. Why such a thorough cleansing? If it was just a failed business, why not leave the website up as a relic, a memory? The theory is that they needed to remove the evidence. An online store would have a public record of its inventory. It would be too easy for an investigator to compare the items listed for sale with the pathetic cost of goods sold on their tax returns. The discrepancy would be an undeniable piece of evidence. By erasing it all, they were attempting to bury the crime scene. But in the digital age, nothing is ever truly gone. And now, with insider testimony and a forensic re-examination of their known finances, the pieces are coming together. And the potential consequences for Kody and Robyn are severe. From a legal standpoint, they are in serious jeopardy. Tax fraud and money laundering are federal offenses that the IRS takes very seriously. An investigation would involve a full audit of their personal and business finances. It would involve subpoenas for bank records and testimony from employees, suppliers, and even other family members. The penalties, if they were to be convicted, could include massive fines, repayment of back taxes with interest, and potentially federal prison time. Beyond the criminal liability, there is the civil reckoning. The discovery of concealed marital assets is a legal game changer for the ex-wives. Christine, Janelle, and Meri would likely have grounds to sue for their rightful share of that $400,000. It would involve lawyers, depositions, and a full-scale legal battle that would play out in the public eye. This isn't just about getting what they are owed, it's about justice. It's about holding Kody and Robyn accountable for years of alleged deception. So, there you have it. The quirky little antique store on the corner was never what it seemed. It was a Trojan horse, a charming facade that, according to our in-depth investigation and exclusive insider reports, concealed a dark financial secret. It was an engine of inequality that allegedly allowed Kody and Robyn to build a personal fortune while the rest of the family struggled. It was a betrayal that strikes at the very heart of everything the Brown family claimed to stand for. This story reframes the entire narrative of Sister Wives. The fall of the Brown family wasn't just about a loss of faith or a breakdown in communication. It was also about the corrosive, corrupting influence of greed and secrets. The win for the ex-wives is not just the potential for financial justice, but the power of the truth. The discovery of this alleged scheme validates their feelings of being devalued, of being treated unfairly, of knowing, deep down, that something was fundamentally wrong. Kody and Robyn may have thought they had buried their secrets under the dust of a closed-down antique store, but the truth has a way of coming to light. A reckoning is coming, not just in a court of law, but in the court of public opinion. And we here at COCO Gossip will be watching every single moment. We will continue to dig, to investigate, and to bring you the updates you deserve. What do you think? Do you believe the antique store was a front? What should the consequences be for Kody and Robyn if these allegations are proven true? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. This conversation is just getting started. Thank you for joining me for this special investigative report. If you believe in independent commentary that isn't afraid to uncover the truth, make sure you are subscribed to COCO Gossip and have turned on all notifications. You won't want to miss what we uncover next. Until then, remember, the truth is always worth gossiping about.